Brian, how many times did you check the price of Bitcoin today?
Less than you think. Probably only 15 times.
Okay, my true number, I think I've probably looked like 6 or 7 times today.
I'm not joking. Probably, yeah, 8 to 11.
Yeah,
over under 9.5. I'd say.
I was talking with Davis earlier, and it's like, obviously there's buzz around, new all-time highs, but like the general fever pitch surrounding it feels way more muted than it did the first time around. Like that was when like literally our aunts and uncles were talking about it. Like I don't think my aunts and uncles are even talking about it right now.
Do you feel, but how about just like overall, do you feel more bullish now than you did then?
Yeah.
You're talking the 2017, right?
Yeah. Like when you would be just like taking an Uber and your Uber driver's like, so you have any of that Bitcoin? Like that's when you're like, okay, this is the top, right? But yeah. I feel maybe it's just because we're not out and about in the real world as much these days, or maybe, I don't know. I feel like I follow a group of people who are into crypto and would be crypto inclined. And I still don't feel like the chatter is near what it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I could see that. I didn't really think about that, but I do feel like I'm just like, okay, I don't think it's going to crash. Whatever that drop was then, like 5-fold or whatever down to 4K.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like that's going to happen. Like maybe it'll go to like 15 or something, but I don't see it going crazy. But who knows? But
I know, and it's crazy too, because like I just for my own little logging, I just keep a spreadsheet of my like weekly just automated buys. And like March 16th, like there was one at 4,689. Like we're like just stormed past 5x on that. Like it's wild how much it just ripped through at 20,000. Like I thought I was going to look and it was going to be just over. And now I'm like, oh, now we're aiming for 22 here.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Jason
in the chat wants to know where your top hat is. He thinks you're one of the bookie busters.
I'm not. I know. I got people thought I looked like that fine fellow that you retweeted, but it wasn't me.
No. First of all, you don't look like him. But second of all, you are in your own way a bookie buster, though. You've gone after Rivers and these guys. You were the original bookie buster.
It's true.
Defending the Patriot gamblers.
Yeah, that's why I was doing that for Tommy G and shit. And I just didn't get the recognition that you gave that magician guy. I'm just assuming he's a magician.
Apparently, he's kind of like an internet comedian. Actually, a guy by the name of Sexual Jumanji, and he was trolling Trump guys. Which I will admit, when I did my video, I did not know that. But I was way more interested in spoofing Anthony's thing with PointsBet than I was his thing, which was genuinely hilarious. And he did a great job of tricking a lot of people. That's
pretty good acting too, actually. Like he seemed like a psycho.
I think what really sold it too is just like doing it outside on what appeared to be a trash can. Like it like really looked like something.
Yeah, too. Yeah. This guy's insane. This makes sense. That's pretty funny.
I guess it was like far too like composed. Like even the turns of phrase "bookie buster" and "Patriot gamblers" is just something no one who still thinks Donald Trump won the election would be clever enough to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, what are they gonna? It's like, how does he think he's gonna pull this off? And now it makes perfect sense. I had no clue that was a bit. That's
yeah. I didn't either, and people started tagging me, and I started going down the rabbit hole. He has some pretty good posts, and he's apparently a well-known Twitch streamer. I think one of his initial Twitter accounts got shut down, I assume, from doing some kind of impersonation, and so he was on to a second one, but. Yes, good stuff there by Sexual Jumanji there with the Bookie Buster. What are we talking about tonight?
I Well, Jose Canseco might follow me.
I saw that. I should get in on that.
I don't know why anyone would not retweet that. I'm just a little worried that he might not come through, but Jose always honors his word. So I can't wait for my childhood hero to follow me.
There are some of those other celebrities on Twitter that follow like 500,000 people. I can't.
He's only at 2,000 or something.
Yeah, his social media manager has a long night ahead of them.
I'm guessing like at least 20% of his followers follow him. Ironically, do you follow him?
I don't.
Oh, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. Here's my thing. How often does he post? How many times a day?
Oh, not that often. I mean, I don't know how often he posts, but it shows up on my feed like once a week.
Oh, okay. That's not bad then. See, I just don't want to get into something where I'm ironically following someone and then they post like 30 times a day and I'm like, this isn't funny anymore. Shout out Cash Out King.
Did you mute him?
No, I actually don't have him muted, and he came back. I told you, he DM'd me when he came back.
He's been tweeting a lot lately to join the CK Telegram.
Yeah, he's got this new thing going where he's trying to get the people from Twitter over to the Telegram. He messaged me and was upset that my handle still wasn't the Deposit King. He thought that I moved on to a new bit because of everything that happened to him. And I was like, sorry, man, I just kind of moved on to a new bit because we really beat that one into the ground there. It had nothing to do with you. I'm sorry to let you down.
And did he ever get that it was kind of like, ironic a little bit, or?
I don't know. Oh, this is a good point from HM here. Do we get a cash out bet tonight? What was it last week that we tailed and it just absolutely smashed?
That's true. Let's take a look.
Let's
Although
see
he wasn't doing so hot based on his tweets.
Really? Oh, he literally just tweeted. Man, it's like every time I mention him, his name, he just gets summoned. He says, all right, people need to win tonight, and I need to find the magical touch again. Who's tailing? If I find a money-ass two-teamer that can make us happy again, sick and tired of not cashing all night, it's time right here, late game two-teamer, who's in?
We got to like that, huh?
Oh, I just wrote in.
Okay, you're the first to respond.
Here we go. Wait, is everyone the chat saying? Oh yeah, Pepperdine was who we bet last week. I was like, are they playing again?
How come I can't reply to that?
Oh, because I believe I've seen this. He has it set now where only people he follows can reply. So I'm one of the privileged few.
Oh God, you're gonna get the sports betting anti-gambler crowd after you again if you don't watch it here.
I know. The funniest thing is like I'll like Vegas Dave posts and I'll get like these vigilante guys that come in that send me like these posts with like 10 things about his track record and how he's a fraud. And I was like, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for pointing out the truth about Vegas Dave to me. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, right. You guys are doing a bang up job. Like it's not that like every single response to his thread is like fraud, fuck you, you're short.
The thing that is truly incredible, I respect his like social media strategy because like the way he posts, you'd think he was getting like hundreds of retweets, like all this stuff. And then it's like 3 likes, 4 people calling you a fraud and like no retweets. But he just like keeps going. He is relentless.
And 80,000 Twitter followers somehow or whatever, right? Too.
Yeah. I mean, that's like people always do that stuff with the counselor too, with like, oh, he bought followers and stuff. And I'm sure he bought some, but he also like, the dude sits courtside at games. He's been on like a Showtime TV program. He's been written up in GQ. Like the guy's gotten press, whether you actually think it's warranted or not, he has gotten press.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I just can't like after a while, you figure some of those followers would start to leave.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it is true too. I mean, I think there's probably like a combination of things, right? Like a ton of like dead accounts that like followed him like way back when that just like don't even use Twitter anymore. And then there is that thing of just like there's tons of big accounts, even, you know, reputable personalities that won't get like a ton of engagement on their tweets, which I can't really account for it. But I mean, I'm sure there's people that have 1,000 followers that get way more engagement than people who have 1 million. No, maybe not 1 million. I'll say 100,000. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We've talked about this off in DMs and stuff before, where it's like certain people are like, how do they have 50,000 followers? And like, look at one like, no likes, one like. It doesn't. What are they doing? The thing with him is like, if he was like an Amazon product, right? And you go to the reviews and it's like all bad. Like I would never buy that product. You know what I mean? Like even if I want to buy it, like I'll at least look and like find one like, oh, this guy liked it. Yeah, I'll buy it. You know what I mean? Like there's just straight trash reviews for this guy. Like I can't imagine he's making any money on Twitter.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's probably just burning and churning through new people trying to get those whale plays. They come in, they try like as a glorified pyramid scheme. By the way, I don't know if you had seen this, but have you heard about this? This is just like a very random anecdote, but when I said pyramid scheme, I made it think of, have you seen that documentary on HBO called Murder at Middle Beach?
No.
It's kind of an interesting premise because the documentarian it's his mom that got murdered in Connecticut back in the early 2000s or 2010. And so like he's producing the documentary and some of that like makes sense. Like he wants to find the truth. So he's going out and interviewing and trying to solve this unsolved story. But it's also a little weird because he's like a first-time filmmaker and this is like his debut. And there's all these like stylistic flourishes that are way too over the top for a documentary about your mom who was murdered. Whereas like, are you doing like an art house film project? Or are you trying to find like, anyways, but that's beside the point I was trying to make. It was centered around these things called gifting tables is what they were called. And it was these women like in suburban Connecticut would invite people for these dinner parties, but to get into the club, you had to find someone willing to bring in $5,000. And then it was a classic pyramid scheme after that. Then that person brought in a person who would bring in $5,000 and that would funnel up to the top people. And so there were these like kingpins across all of these suburban neighborhoods throughout Connecticut. And then it led to, you know, murder apparently. But anyways, you know, I don't know why I got on that tangent. I just wanted to talk about it, I guess.
But that does remind me of like, so when I was at the treasurer's office here in Illinois, there's like certain groups of people throughout the state. And I'm sure it's like this in other states who have like cultural differences where they won't use banks. Like Muslims, like they have a problem with interest. And so like a lot of times they won't actually get interest. And I'm not trying to generalize anyone, but this is
here we go. Brian had to get it as hot example here.
That the states tries to help people who have problems like getting loans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the Amish don't have any collateral. So like the state makes a program to try to help them get some loans. And one of the things in this is in the Mexican community, or maybe it's just a Hispanic community in general. And I think maybe in the Muslim community too, they would do that same thing, but it wasn't a pyramid scheme. So like instead of getting a loan from a bank, they all these families would just pitch in $2,000.
Yeah.
And then they would do it every month. And it's like, okay, it's your month. You got whatever. Maybe $2,000 was too much, but you get the idea. Like this is yours for this month. You got $12,000 interest free loan. Next month's, you know, this family's loan. I see you got a joke.
No, I'm just laughing at the chat because it's just they get so excited. Rick with his Islamophobic takes again. Brian with a hot take. Did not see that coming. Time for the good stuff. I mean, people ever since that show a couple weeks ago, people want the Brian hot takes.
It's Eli's just fucking with me. Constantly fucking with me.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, you're the one who brought up the murderous documentary.
This
is more of a positive story.
Yes, no, it is. No, I mean, that is, I mean, pyramid schemes are great, man. I mean, as long as you're not the last one in, like it was great. It was great for everyone.
And that's not true because they did claw back some of that Madoff money from some folks.
Did they come? They came back for it?
I think some of them had to give it back. I think it was something like some of them were like knew that it was a pyramid scheme and they could prove it somehow, and so like they clawed back some of that money. There was there was another podcast documentary on that, something like Star in the Name. It was a while ago.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Do you like true crime stuff?
No, I can't fucking stand it.
For for what? But you don't watch a lot of media really in general, right?
I mean, just YouTube and podcasts.
But you don't even watch like shows on Netflix or HBO, like fiction stuff, right?
Yeah, pretty rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty rarely.
What does it take to pique your interest to check out a show? Like, did you watch Breaking Bad?
I got around to it eventually. Yeah. It took me a while. I like Game of Thrones up until like season 5. What else? Like Walking Dead up until season 4 or something.
I bailed on Walking Dead halfway through the second season.
Like I knew it was garbage, but it was like a guilty pleasure still. I'm like, oh, zombies, that's fine. I don't care. I know it's stupid, but there's zombies. So like, what else did I? And there's nothing.
Owe in the chat is laughing at you saying I can't fucking stand it after I spent 10 minutes talking about a true crime doc.
Yeah. It's just chicks, man.
Look, man. I am married to a chick, so sometimes we watch true crime docs.
That doesn't mean you have to enjoy it. You sit there pout and look on your phone.
Did you hear my meta criticisms of this documentary? I'm clearly watching it with a critical eye.
As long as you kind of ruined it for her, then it's acceptable. I'm okay with it. Start poking holes in it, and like, this doesn't even make any sense. This director's horrible.
It's just don't get me talking about it again. I mean, once I get talking about murder on Middle Beach, I'm a runaway train, man. All right. What's this title? Macro versus micro DFS. Is this a big dick brick thing? I got the biggest dick in DFS. All you other guys got these little DFS dicks, and I want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's it. End the show. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, no, we were. I was thinking about this watching. I can't even remember. Now I can't even remember. Maybe one of your shows.
You can't remember all of my shows. You don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of every piece of content I do, Brian.
I don't think my hard drive can even handle 1 week of storing your shows. Yeah, but like we've talked about this a little bit before too, but you know, and I just made this up, but like a micro versus macro, the way I kind of I was thinking about it was kind of how the difference between what we focus on. So like I focus on the big large field tournaments mainly. That's where I spend a lot of time like looking, researching, and you focus more on like, I don't know, like let's say 5,000 or less field, preferably even smaller, maybe, and hand building, getting your hands there.
Don't put us hand builders in quotes over there. you little hand builders and your little fingers.
I know you use FC. Don't try to fucking lie to me.
No, but you say no, I use optimizers for Showdown, and I'll play the 20 max that has 190,000 people in it. But for main slates, I don't think I ever play a contest generally that's bigger. I guess I play a 5 max that maybe has 10,000 people in it sometimes, but other than that, nothing bigger than that.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected. But the idea is like, I kind of think those are because the way the games are getting hard now, right? Especially, and I think football too. I think a lot of people think football's easy. I would say it's not, especially the larger fields. Even though I know there's a lot of dead money there, the rake's pretty damn high. And so I feel like if like specialization is a good way to go as the game gets tougher, if you still want to play it anyways. And those are two ways to look at it. So like if you are like contemplating like where to go, I would look at that kind of strategy of, okay, I'm just going to do lower amount of entries. And then when you're doing that, you actually kind of have to do your strategy because you're not going to get ownership percentages for a 2,000 man spy anywhere unless you make your own. And even, and like, that's a lot of effort to make your own spy ownership for one entry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd probably be easier to just get like general ideas of what the difference is between like a spy and the main event, the Milli maker.
Yeah.
You could just like extrapolate from there. But you need to focus, more on hand building or just like the differences between these huge, large fields and these medium-sized or lower amount of opponents. And it's a big difference strategically.
Yeah.
And then obviously the way because I usually just talk macro because that's usually what everyone plays. They either throw in a couple into the big one or they 150, or they'll play like the mini max in the $5 and under stuff.
Yeah.
Like it seems like that's what most people play. And that strategy is kind of like, it's kind of out there now. I'm not saying it's not unbeatable.
Yeah.
But like it might be better to focus more on like a micro strategy going forward for some people.
Yeah, I mean, you can apply that to other things, right? Like you've had a lot of success even just over at Yahoo, and you could maybe apply that like as a micro strategy. If you just said to yourself, I just want to focus all of my attention on Yahoo, that would probably be a much better, like profitable long-term strategy than being like, I just want to battle with everybody on DraftKings.
That's a good point. It's actually even better than you think because that's probably a leak on Yahoo for me is those little middling ones. So I run my cash game in like 98% of my, maybe 95% of my Yahoo entries. And then they're 150 and like their 4 or 5 biggest ones. I take the time and enter different lineups in those because it's a pain in the ass on there. You got to download the CSV for each tournament and then upload your specific one to that tournament and then back and then over and then back and then over. And I usually finish up at 10:45 or 10:45 Central when inactives come out Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a ton of time. So I just get my Yahoo in there. So all those Yahoos in between, and I'm not sure what like Papa Gates and all the other guys, Dowd and who else is on there that plays all the time. I don't know, all the usuals. Mock Levin's on there, all the regulars. And I'm not sure what they do. Some of them probably scripted out, honestly. I wonder if that might be against the terms and services of Yahoo, but you could do it. You could build that out. But like in between, for me personally, and I just started doing the 5, like doing 5, like week 4. So like previously, probably 2 or 3 years ago, I would just run one lineup in everything.
Yeah.
151 lineups in the tournament.
Wait, duped?
No, just my lineup. And I don't care. It's Yahoo. It's easy to beat. And then I just enter that and then go to fantasy draft RIP. But that one's normal, so I could do that one normal, and then I'd go to.
Well, and that's kind of the thing that is what you then see too at like the super high stakes and like mid to high stakes of the guys that are playing everything. They're registering for everything, and they're not catering their lineups to the contest size. They're just saying, I'm making the best possible lineup. I'm getting it in good everywhere. Because it ultimately is a time thing. It like, as someone now on my showdown slates where I'm catering how aggressive and how contrarian my lineups are to each specific contest size, like that takes a lot of time, like to do that, at least the way I do it, which is like, I'm an Excel, noob and I don't have everything perfectly scripted. So there's a lot of manual tweaking in there, but it's a lot of work to actually cater it to the contest size.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, that you're right on 2 accounts on Yahoo. Definitely good strategy there because a lot of those guys are not adjusting. And so I noticed Papa Gates' lineup last week. Okay, was Jones? Did the Jones bump happen this last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago?
Sorry, which Jones? Ronald Jones?
Ronald Jones.
Yeah,
where,
that was this Sunday. I think it was the Leonard Fournette inactive news came out, and then Jones ownership got steamed like 15 percentage points.
So I had the exact same lineup as Papa Gates pre-Jones news.
Oh,
Jones
you're one of the Chipotle brothers now? Congratulations.
No, I just saw what lineup he played afterwards. I wanted to see if anyone switched because my updated one had Jones in the cash game optimal. And I was like, I wonder if he doesn't switch. Because he might be like, all right, Jones is in it. It's fucking Jones. I gotta get my shit in on these other 2 sites where I have 200, 300 grand going,
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I wonder if he just let it be. But if he did, that's just like another point in the idea of focusing on those type of things in that environment. Yahoo's unique that way.
Yeah.
Too. Like that advantage won't be on any other site. So but even on DraftKings, I could see your strategy being way more beneficial for a lot of folks.
Yeah, and just in general too, like another one thing Bales has been writing about a lot recently too, of like reverse engineering how to win, knowing the rules. And it makes sense. Like most of the content is for DraftKings. Everyone knows the rules, the scoring systems, like the bonus structure, like everyone knows those like inside and out for the most part. And so if you go to somewhere where there's less information and you can have like an information advantage of just knowing the rules and the size and the scoring system better, where people aren't focusing and content isn't being made catered to that specific system, like you're going to have more of an edge.
That's why I grinded LPGA all day today.
Is that DraftKings?
Yeah.
And so you spun up your model for it. Is there a lot of good data for it?
No, but enough.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be overlay, and I don't know. I'm guessing it's like a degen party, a bit of a degen party, like the NBA preseason.
How do you think about that? Because it works both ways, right? Where like it self-selects the people who are going to play those super niche sports are probably like either domain experts or DFS pros like yourself. Like who's degenning LPGA? Like who's getting sweat equity out of playing that? And I'm not don't cancel me. I just mean like going through, like I know like Davis is playing, the Premier League stuff, and he's just throwing it on because he's going to watch the game and he wants a little sweat equity. Like, are there people sweating LPGA that just want a little action down on it?
I bet the golf degens are. I bet I wonder if Nelson got a couple in there, or Jason Roslin. It wouldn't surprise me. But everyone else, I think it's just gambling. Why don't you guys try to cancel Peter? You guys give me shit.
I was actually just talking to my wife about this the other day, where I'm like, she told me she had like a slip up on a work call where she said something like insensitive. And I was like when she told me that, I was like cringing because I knew it would be like something I would catch myself from saying. And I'm like, I just have a lot of practice. I've done so many shows. Like I can feel myself if I'm about to slip up, and I just immediately rein it back in. Yeah. Because this Lolz audience, Brian, they're vicious. They will come for you and they will cancel you. You've been canceled 19 times over, and I'm not going to let it happen to me.
Yeah, that's true. Brian isn't even my real name. I had to change it at least 4 times. The LPGA this week though is 50 grand to first.
That's pretty good.
Pretty damn good.
What are the hockey prizes? Do they even get that big?
They can get that big or bigger, but I think just the everyday one varies between like 25 and 50 or something like that. Is Jake in the chat? He can tell us.
Yeah, Jake he's either lurking and then he'll pop up and he'll give us the facts.
Yeah, but yeah, the hockey's pretty small, so I'm assuming there's going to be some overlay, and then I'm going to wake up and see if the 1500 is got overlay or the 777.
Yeah. Well, you also do, You love golf. That's like your favorite DFS sport, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So what does this, when you come to that realization, does it make you want to like maybe try to scale back and focus on a couple sports and even really push your edges? Or do you still just think you have enough of a general edge with your overall DFS approach across all sports that you want to keep doing that?
It makes me want to just add to what I already do.
Yeah.
But it's just so much more time to do that, because for me, I wouldn't do it the way you do it. Like I can't pay attention to that much fucking sports. You know what I mean? And I have no interest in doing that. So like, but I could adjust my process to like fit, a 300 man, 700 man more accurately.
Yeah.
And play all those, whatever, $5, $3, the ones I'm allowed to play in. So but it's tough with football, though. I wish football's inactives came out an hour earlier. That would help. That would help me.
That would be huge.
Although you would think that would be bad, because like ownership it would be easier for people to make ownership changes, but they get it in anyways. It seems like ownership's pretty sharp.
And we're getting at this point, most of the like shockers still come in like overnight on the Schefter bombs, right? Or he'll just like point us very strongly in a direction that something's going to happen. I mean, we don't really get like the shocking 11:30 inactives that much. And you get the stuff that will like boost things where it'll be like, people expected, I don't know, like Matt Breida to be playing and like eat into Myles Gaskin's workload, and then like Breida's out, and like the people who are really on top of it understand the ramifications of that, but nothing that's like steaming ownership hard.
Yeah, it's tough. So with James Washington, right? This last week also got up to like 13% or so owned.
Yeah.
And that's probably right about where it's supposed to be, right? You'd figure.
And see, I talked about it on my review on Monday, but I was mad at myself about not pivoting off the Ronald Jones thing, because I thought I was going to get Ronald Jones at 5 to 7%. I had him in my lineup like Saturday night or whatever. And then that news comes out, and I don't think the Ronald Jones play has changed without Fournette. I think he's going to play the same role. Maybe he gets a couple extra touches. Leone said he ticked up his projection a little bit, but like didn't meaningfully change enough to take on 15 extra percentage points of ownership. And I knew I should have pivoted, but I was like anchored to this lineup I had made. And like, I knew it as I was doing it. Like, this is a bad play. Like the play is now different than when I initially envisioned it. And I was too stubborn to change it.
It's kind of tough though. Like you don't know he's going to go up that many for sure. Cause it does happen sometimes where it's like, oh, no one got it in. And didn't he break his finger or something? Did he come out of that game?
Yeah.
So like if he busts, a 20-yard run for a TD, if he doesn't get, then you're like, oh, okay, fine. It was still the right.
Well, no, I'm trying to do it from a pure product. Like when that ownership locked in, and I think in the SPY it was 22%. I was like, I don't want Ronald Jones at 22%.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably a little high.
But that goes back to your thing about how ownership changes. And I would assume, I didn't look, but I would assume in like the $3.20 max, he was probably like 12 or 13%. Like there's that thing that happens, right? Where, well, one, it's just easier to move ownership in a smaller field. And two, those players are also like, it's like self-selective, right? Where those players are more on top of news. They're reacting more to it than the other groups. And then you move up to the really high stakes, and then you get the out leveling where it's like, okay, I know Ronald Jones is going to get steam, so then I'm going to pivot off of that. Like there's all the levels based on the buy-in levels.
Yeah. I'm not super buying that yet.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't think these guys are pivoting that much. Like I said, so like a lot of these guys who are in the super high buy-ins, they're playing every event.
Yeah.
On every site. So they're not going, oh, this one event I can pivot off of. You know what I mean? Like, they've got tons of shit to worry about. It's tough to even get it in.
Well, like the example, I think I mentioned it to you the other week, and I feel like there's lots of examples like this where it's like Justin Jefferson is projecting for 20% ownership, Adam Thielen's projecting for 10. In the low stakes, that ownership holds, and then it flips in the high stakes because everyone looks at that and they're like, well, on paper, Thielen and Jefferson are projecting as similar plays. I'll just play the lower owned of those two, but everyone has that parallel thinking, and the ownership ends up being flipped, and you end up saying, hey, I would have played Justin Jefferson at 10% had I known.
Yeah, I understand the thesis of your argument. I don't agree with it.
But why? I could point out examples from that like every week if I went through and found the ownership shifts at the different levels.
Yeah, I think there's probably enough like micro style guys who play those high stakes games to make a dent on it. But I mean, there could be there could be adjustments from guys who are owned high in the Milli and low in the whatever 1500 that there was no injury news. It happens all the time.
Right. Well, that Jefferson example, there was nothing about injury with that. I'm just saying like people looking at projected ownership as they build their lineups.
Yeah. I mean, you would need like evidence to show that like this definitely is one of those examples of the change, because like I said, I think most of them are like those macro type of players, and they're probably using some sort of like algorithm or sim. Maybe they have multiple types of ownership where they adjust individually. But I think they're just, for a lot of those guys, they're just bam, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste. This is about right for this one. This is about right for this one. It's about right for this one.
See, and now I think we're back to the thing of the how many people are modeling, because I would assume a lot of people are just, if they're making that one lineup, they're looking at the ownership and making those decisions.
Sure. Yeah. Like I think some of those guys in the high stakes are definitely pivoting and stuff like that. I'm not saying there isn't some of that, but I don't know about the leveling. You might be leveling yourself a little bit.
Well, I feel like what you're saying is like, there's no good way to account for that, which I agree. I'm just saying, I feel like these specific examples are playing out each and every slate, but it's just impossible to know where those examples are going to play out.
Yeah. I'm really saying, I don't think like in a $5,000 Thunderdome, like, I don't know, or maybe like the 1,500 or something. I don't know how many guys are playing leveling games.
No,
and,
well, see, I don't
think how useful that is, honestly, in like if there's more than like 50 opponents or something.
Well, let me reword it, because maybe that's not the best example. It's not like the I know, thing. I think it's literally just I'm looking at ownership, because I would do the same thing. I'm going to look at my projections. I'm going to look at it versus ownership. And I'm like, Jefferson and Thielen project for roughly the same amount of points. Why is 10% more ownership going to one of them? I'll play the other one. To where like the projected ownership is driving these decisions, and it basically flips because all the sharper players are making the same type of decision.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get you, but like even still, like the less amount of opponents, the less that type of ownership even matters. So like, I don't know why as a sharp you would be making these huge adjustments. So like Jefferson at 20% or something is a perfect example where that could be a big fade in like a Milli. But as you gradually go down, you like start getting closer to that number and maybe even above it. It depends. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know, like seems like you're fucking yourself there.
Okay. I see your point now. You're saying that you think you shouldn't just be like almost throwing out like baseline level ownerships that are made for large field if you're playing in a 200 person high stakes contest, that it's like not even relevant.
Yeah, I'm kind of saying three things here. We're kind of bouncing around, but like I was addressing the leveling thing. I don't think that's happening much. And then I was going to say like a lot of those guys are macro players. I mean, they are like the Burrito brothers, McLovin. Yeah, there's a decent amount of them. And I think although they might adjust individually for it, I don't think they're doing leveling games. And then that third piece with as the smaller the entries, the less you're going to care about him being 25 or 22 or something. That's like, that's not going to kill you against 100 opponents.
Yeah. And I think where the out leveling stuff probably happens too. Like I like using ETR as an example of that, because I do think those guys meaningfully move ownership on stuff, and you'll have Adam and Evan and Wiggins on Friday night. I think I've maybe said this example before, like touting the best plays on the slate. And then you have Dink and Leone on Saturday morning doing their contrarian GPP show. They're using that anchor of like the best plays, the chalk, whatever, to make their contrarian pivots. And then sometimes those pivots that they're talking about come in like way over owned of what you expected them based on initial ownership, because there's that like public sentiment, and there's now a GPP hive mind that is formulating around these things.
Yeah, you're talking big tournaments now, or just those?
I guess I would say that where this would be more in the stuff I'm playing, like sub 5,000 person fields.
Yeah, I really haven't looked into it. Maybe I should, but I think there might be more variance in ownership projections for those type of events too. Because I was watching that your show on Monday, and some of the ownership was dramatically different than like the Milli Maker type of stuff.
Yeah,
and some of the guys. So I had McKissick too. So you had McKissick in your second one, right?
No, I didn't have any JD McKissick.
Oh, I thought in your second lineup I saw you had JD McKissick.
You wouldn't catch me having that guy in one of my lineups with a 10-foot pole, Brian. No, I didn't have any McKissick last week.
No, oh, okay. There was somebody in there where it looked like they were like 1.9% owned or something. I'm like, oh, that guy was like 8 or 9% owned. Really? So like, there's definitely, and this will happen too. Like in those spies, it seems like there's like more consolidated ownership sometimes. Yeah. So you're going to have a higher amount, and that's just going to naturally lead to less amounts of other guys. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that doesn't, that would actually say there's less variance in them, but, so maybe variance is the wrong word, but it's certainly different between the two. And this goes to like another argument for like looking into more of a micro strategy of play less than 1,000 opponents and really dive. And then if you can figure out how to make your own ownership, you could do it pretty easy. Here, you could just take like the public ownership projections and the SPY and just run a regression.
I was about to say we need this like new bit like with the show where Brian throws out like a good idea of something to do that would take lots of work, and then this little thought bubbles over my head that says this is a good idea that I'll never do. And then you say run a regression. I'm like, yep.
It's not that hard. You can Google it. Like take like, I don't know if you could get like 6 or 7 or 8 slates at least, and then you could see the difference. Or you could just take like the Milli. If you don't have public access to public ownership, take the Milli ownership, match them up in Excel, and run a regression. And there probably is like a pretty strong R on the differences.
Yeah. What's your hypothesis of what would be the variables driving those differences?
Probably the chalkier players are owned more.
Yeah.
And then something to do with salary not fitting and hurting some of those like 8%er guys just that won't fit now. Something like that.
Yeah. And so you think, I guess that's where it gets hard too, of like, if you could do it just purely numerically, or if you need a little bit of a hand builder's touch to know where like the nuance in why some of those plays get steamed more than others.
If you think you're adding to it, go for it. And it's probably non-linear, I would guess too, the changes. And I just said do a linear regression, but you can do non-linear stuff in a linear regression, but that's a little more complicated. But that would be my guess. I mean, I would probably do something different, but like that's a simple way to get you damn close.
Yeah. And there's this stuff like, I think it's definitely a little harder for like, the main 5,555 person SPY field I do versus like if you're playing in the Thunderdome regularly. And I feel like why Leone has had, some success and feels like he has a pretty good feel for it is because there is so few people. He knows the competition. He knows the type of lineups that like probably half the field you could generally guess like construction wise pretty spot on, like probably down to even like a 2v2. For some of those guys there. And I feel like that's a huge edge. If you have that small of a field and you have that good of an idea of what your opponents are going to do.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. I'm like I'm talking about today, I'm beginning to agree with you that it might be a direction that a lot of people should go in. Did you see I was in first in the Milli for like almost the entire day?
No. Why didn't you tell me and I could send some Petey Sweat vibes your way?
The 555 or whatever. I took 10th, but I had McKinsey. That's my last guy.
You're gonna tilt the people. I think. How do you keep saying his name?
McKissick.
McKissick. There's no in there.
Whatever.
No, I literally don't care. But these people watching, they're like, Brian almost won that tournament, and he doesn't even know JD McKissick's name.
Well, now I don't give a fuck because he fucked me.
What was it? So who else was in the lineup?
And I had a Bears onslaught.
What a homer.
Yeah, it wasn't my choice. Just cut paste. Yeah, I had Trubisky, Montgomery, Allen, Mooney.
Whoa.
And the run back. Who was the run back? The Hanson, the cheap guy.
Yeah.
Really cheap. 3,900. I'm like, maybe I could have went a different direction there. And then 2 Chiefs.
Did you get Kelsey and Hill?
And Hill.
Nice.
And Hill pulled up his hammy there. I don't know if that cost him any plays. I was watching Red Zone, and I think I was in first until probably that last Taylor touchdown.
And
then McKissick.
You got it now. You got it. Eli says Brick thinks he's an Irish folk singer.
McKissick. Yeah, he didn't do shit. Was there anyone else to put in there? I didn't even think about it.
Oh, as a late swap?
Yeah, is anyone better? That was my only.
Because he was what, like 5,100 or something?
48.
Yeah, there were not a lot of good cheap running back value plays late. I don't know. You would have probably had to have gone to like a pretty thin wide receiver. You could have gone to like.
Yeah. I had him at running back.
Oh, you had him at running back. I think you were probably locked.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
because I had a tight end wide receiver in flex. So
what was how many people were in that contest?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Definitely less.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the I had that in the Milli, and the $20 one I took like 688.
Yeah.
I was up there in that one for a while, but yeah, as soon as Taylor started going off, that was it. Henry didn't help either.
Oh, wait, I realized we're starting to run out of time, and I just remembered one other thing you had mentioned to me that I want to hear about is your RBX88 story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we got this prostitute, and no, I'm kidding.
That's the chat's like, here he goes. Brian's gonna do one of those things again.
There was Saturday night MMA.
Yeah, I played the slate, Brian.
I know you won too, right?
Yeah, just one of those little cheeky 2.5X's. We'll take it.
No big deal. Guy wins all the time.
Get out of here.
So we had both solo ships going in the last fight. I had Moreno. He had Figueroa or whatever the fuck his name is.
No, please take a stab at it. I actually don't know this one, so I can't even correct you.
I just did. Anyways, so he was in my Discord and we were talking about chopping it up. But of course you can't do that because he was minus 341 favorite at right before the fight started. Is it Dennison? Something like that. Whatever the fuck his name is. So I had a 12-point lead, like a 12-point, leeway.
Yeah.
Which it's important and actually ended up mattering. But so we finished on a 2-1. I pay him 2-1, 20 grand, 10 grand.
Yeah.
And then I bet 10 grand in the sports books. And I guess then he went and bet 10 grand in his
to hedge it out further.
To hedge it out even further. And so the fight went to decision. Were you up? Did you watch it?
No, I was in bed well before that.
That was a great fight. They were saying
I heard it was a great fight.
Yeah. Of the year. And they went to a draw. So I thought Moreno was winning, but obviously it's debatable. And it went to a draw, and so no one gets the 30 points for the win. So if he got the 30, he would have won. And if I got the 30, I would have won. But since I had that 12-point leeway, I did take second. So I got 60K. It was 150 to first. So
what was your net on like with the hedges and the swaps?
Right. Yeah. So like if there was no hedges or swaps, I net lost 90,000 without a decision in my favor. But with the swaps, it would have been 120. So I lost, what is that? 60. But here was one bright side is on a draw, you get your money back on the sports books.
Oh, okay. That's nice. That's interesting that they, cause like, I don't know, maybe this is an awful example, but like a soccer, like if you have a draw, like that's one of the things you bet on, but I guess they don't offer betting on a draw, or do they offer that?
Yeah, I think you can do both. It depends. But yeah, you can bet at a draw. And I'm pretty sure you can bet on draws in the derivative markets of the MMA too.
Okay.
On some sites, I'm pretty sure.
Jason says, is there a World War II battle that you could compare the fight to?
The Falkland Islands?
There you go.
No, that was a Tyson versus I don't know, Spikes.
So did it end up being an overall profitable MMA slate for you?
Yeah, like I said, I took second.
Yeah, had to be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How long did your negotiation with RBX88 go?
Not that long. A minute or two.
He's an agreeable guy.
Yeah, he's agreeable. That was totally fair price. I probably was getting a little more, so he was being generous. I don't know what the actual because it's minus 341, but there's also VIG, and so it's less than that. And VIG is a lot of people don't notice VIG is shaded towards the favorite, a heavy favorite a lot of times. So it was less than that. And then how much is 12 fantasy points worth? A decent amount. I don't know. Like, how could you even guess? So because like in situations like that, it would have, and I could have still won if he would have just got like another takedown and a couple more punches. I would have won.
How tilted were you on the draw?
The sports book getting my money back. Actually, Eli, I think Joe told me in my Discord. He goes, "No, you get your money back." I'm like, all right, that's not that bad.
Eli just answered the question I was about to ask. I was going to ask if you guys were having this conversation in front of everyone, or if you guys were DMing within the Discord. And Eli says they did it in the public on the Discord.
Yeah, we were doing it in public.
Look at these guys putting on a show. Hashing through a negotiation in real time.
He did message me privately before the fight went off. He goes, "Oh shit, I'm duped. My bad." And then like 10 seconds later, he's like, "Wait, no, I'm an idiot. I'm not duped. We're good."
And then I assume you went and double checked his work.
I didn't. I just trusted him.
Look at you. I told you how far the relationship you and RVX88 has come. Like, I feel like you guys are going to be like best men at each other's wedding here down the road.
I don't know. He's got enough cash. He's a professional gambler too. Like, those guys aren't generally.
No, RVX88 is a good dude.
So yeah, that was pretty fun. That's my second one of the year where I chopped it up, and both times didn't get there. And I think this is like my fourth or fifth time where I needed the dog in the main.
Okay.
And they just haven't done it for me.
Yeah. I mean, do you like the way of the kind of progression of the fights that it gives you the time to make like very clean hedges like that versus like football? I feel like it's so tricky.
I mean, MMA is the best DFS sport. It really is, isn't it?
Even without assistant to the regional captain?
I still like it.
It is fun. I got a buzz, and I also had fine-tuned my process. I'm working on my dupes more, so I had fun playing that slate. And it is a good DFS sport. Even if you don't sweat it, it's still a pretty good sport.
Yeah, no, yeah, I sweating it. You could even sweat it on Twitter, like with the MMA fight account. What's so funny?
I just the Lolz commenters are so good. Like I do a lot of shows and I don't get to read comments all the time, but like the Lolz, they're gonna give each other clocks for Christmas. You and RBX88. It's just, you guys are good. I like you guys.
Did you see in my Discord RBX88's his avatar is a clock?
I didn't pick up on that.
Here, maybe I could give some value plays for the LPGA.
yeah. As we wrap up, let's give. What was that? What was the show we did a long time ago? Was it a KBO show we did where we didn't talk about KBO at all? There was one where we said we were going to give plays and then didn't talk about it at all.
Were we fucking with people?
Here you go. Yeah. Help David Stewart out. LPGA stars and scrubs. Are you going with a balanced build, Brian?
Stars and scrubs.
All right.
In almost all the formats, I was doing a lot of stars and scrubs. So I like speaking of fucking up names, this is going to be brutal. I like all right. Maria June
this is great content. I could just watch Brian list off names from the LPGA tour all day.
And of course, you know this, Peter. NB Park. We all know who she is.
Do we?
I'm thinking she's going to be a nice chalk value play.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't see how you get it. You don't. It's an obvious studs and scrubs week. Honestly, you know, I don't like thinking like that because it's a no cut event. So you're going to get 4 rounds out of these scrubs. So you just kind of hope you get the value guy.
Let's cancel Brian for calling these women scrubs. Wow, David Stewart's giving you the phonetic pronunciation in the chat. You want to take a stab at that?
Jutan Igarn. Igarn? Why don't you try that one?
Okay, God. Jutan Igarn?
Why is he asking me? The phonetic spelling of this.
Look at this. I mean, this is what you guys either get us, litigating the pronunciation of these names, or you get the stone cold locks from Brian, and you guys apparently chose litigating the pronunciation.
Who else do I like here? Oh wait, there we go. I always forget there's a value column in there. Okay, here we go.
Maybe you should do a micro strategy, Brian.
For a scrub, I also like Jasmine Suwanapura. I think that might be right.
Suwanapura, you hardly know her, Brian.
We'll see. We'll see how this goes if I know what the hell I'm doing.
Okay, you got to figure out a way to monetize this. Maybe it's a Brian cameo where he gives out his lock of the week at LPGA and just tries to pronounce the names.
Talk about a targeted strategy, once a year event where the LPGA is the only game in town and they put up a decent prize pool.
Oh man.
After this week, maybe there's one. No, they're probably done. They're probably off for Christmas and that's it.
There you go. The guys say they're in the Patreon. They're going to come and hound you for the plays there.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
There you go. Anything we didn't touch on here before we wrap up?
No, I think the main thing is, Canseco's probably going to follow me.
Do you think maybe you'll go live on Periscope and shotgun a White Claw when it happens?
I should. Maybe. Do you think he's going to leave me? Do you think he's just doing this as a promotion, or do you think he actually wants to follow me?
No, I think it's definitely. I think his intentions are pure. I think he's very interested in what his followers are up to, and I think he's going to be heavily engaged with your content going forward. I mean, in just a week, we might see Jose Canseco in the chat even.
That would be awesome. Do you think we can get him on Lolz?
I mean, I think so.
You gotta start following, man. He's a good follow.
All right, I will follow Jose Canseco with hopes of getting him on Lolz some days. If you guys, the viewers and the listeners, want to help us out, that would be great. Also, speaking of which, I mean, probably none of you guys care because you're watching on YouTube, but I pulled the plug on the Periscope streams. We're going exclusive YouTube. So if you're watching for the first time on YouTube for some reason and haven't subscribed to Brian's channel, please do so. We also have the links to the podcast version there as well, if you guys would like to listen to us in audio, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to see the faces of two bookie busters fighting for the Patriot gamblers out there. But as always, through thick and thin, Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, giving you out very close to cancellation, hyperbolic analogies, reading off LPGA players and locks. That's what we do here. For Brian Hooper, I'm Peter Overzet. We'll see you guys next week.